all the other Middle Eastern countries, signed up to endorse a two-state solution, a peace agreement, and a non-violence treaty between Israel and Palestine and all neighbouring and other Middle Eastern nations. We've got to get the sword out of the politics of the Middle East, and the gun and the bullet and the bomb. And yet, yes, please stop your government sending bombs to Yemen and things, to the Saudis. The Saudis are really quite backward. You do know that. I know. You can't be too public, but they really are a bit backward. In that they have this very ancient, this Wahhabi nonsense going on. Yeah, I don't know. That's a big question. Yeah, you'll have to ask John Locke. I'm hoping there'll be some papers in the Windsor Library. Yeah, how you get states to be more enlightened. Education. It is the only answer. And that's why I became a teacher. Yeah. Education at all levels. That's why I thought my idea for a Council of Monarchs was quite good. I wrote to you some time ago about that. Yes, I had this vision. I mean, it was my sort of druid thing that we should bring all the monarchs of the world. There's about 35 of you. That's right, into a kind of council. You don't remember getting that letter? Well, that's funny, because I had a letter back from one of your underlings saying that it was a terrible idea and never to write to you again about it. And never to mention it to Charles. It was a very rude letter, actually. Oh, you mean it didn't come from you at all? You never even saw the... Well, my dear Queen, I do apologise. I should have had more faith in you and made this call some years ago, because I'll send it to you again. Yes, I still think it was a brilliant idea. Yeah, like the UN has a club of these nations. They all go to New York, and then... Yeah, and aristocracies have their clubs. Well, Aristotle said true government is a combination of monarchy, aristocracy, and democracy. I know, secretly, I'm a bit of an Aristotelian, you see, that's why I think monarchy has a role to play in the world fairness system, a world peace system. I don't call it a world government. No, we don't want to use that term. No, world governance, a fair, good governance system. Yes, the World Intellectual Forum that I'm coordinating for Europe has created this Good Governance Commission. Yeah, and we think that the monarchs should play a role in this. I mean, after all, you get quite a lot of money from each country. And monarchs have a duty, I think, before God and before the planet and before the people, to come together and make a kind of council. You see, and if you did that, think of that I worked it out, there's 35 monarchs. And we can include the Pope. He's the sort of monarch of the Vatican. Yeah. I mean, he could host the first meeting, right? And then there's all the monarchs of Europe. There's the Scandinavian monarchies. There's Holland. There's Belgium and Spain and all the rest. Yeah, they're all, very nice people. I know you know most of them. Yeah, even Andorra has a monarch who's technically the president of France. So even, that's ironic, the president of France gets to come, yeah. And then there's African monarchies, there's Arabian, there's Japanese, yeah. Anyway, what a great council it would be. And the proposal was that body, yes, I sent all the paperwork to your assistant. I'm so sorry that you never got it. I can't believe it. It's one of my better ideas. I know I keep having ideas. It comes with being an intellectual, you see. So from a Druid perspective, I channel the Arwen, which means the divine inspiration, and then I give it back. That's right. In poetry, I've written about 1,000 poems now. Yeah, I'm just typing up the last volume. How many secretaries do you have to deal with your correspondence? God, you have so many. Well, can you loan me a couple? Because I need at least a couple just to work full time and just to type stuff up. Like, there's a whole backlog of my books and publications. If you could just secretly send me a couple of secretaries, I'd really appreciate it. Maybe 3? Yeah. No, that would be great. Consider it done. I'll give them a nice, lovely home to live in. They can work away. Yeah, they're only on loan. Totally only on loan. I understand. Okay, so look, I'm glad we've agreed that. That's amazing, Your Majesty. Gosh, hats off, right? Okay, let me move on because I want to just do a bit of metaphysics. I hope you don't mind. When did you study philosophy, if you don't mind my asking? Did you have that at Benenden, or where did you get that? Private tutors? Did you ever study philosophy? Well, you see, that was the thing that I, as a boy growing up in Brighton, that was my passion. I wanted to be a philosopher. I know, it was the romantic thing of finding ultimate truth, that idea of... I used to sit on Brighton Beach, talking with friends late at night, watching the waves, reading Nietzsche. Yeah, thinking, what is absolute truth? I'm still in love with that quest, you see. I'm a romantic philosopher. Yeah, Goethe is one of my heroes now. It's funny you should say that, because where I've just been in Delhi, there was an amazing Ukrainian philosopher at the Institute of Philosophy. She's amazing. She gave a paper on Goethe as a philosopher and his studies of natural science, and apparently she argued that because we turned our back on Goethe in the European Enlightenment, we lost a chance for a humane kind of science, because Goethe's philosophy of science was that we should work with nature. So it's like a green philosophy of science. Yeah, the Extinction Rebellion people, they're all reading Goethe, if you want, whether they know it or not. Yeah, and Rudolf Steiner, I know. Yes, and of course Hahnemann, he was... That's right, Hahnemann was a Freemason, the inventor of homeopathy, that I know you guys all use. Yeah. Yeah, I use homeopathy when I can, or when I need to. I try to avoid being ill. Yeah, and Hahnemann and Goethe were the same milieu, German Freemasons. Yeah, I mean, for Freemason, we might as well just say pan-sophist, right? Like the great Sophia, the founder of the Hanoverian dynasty, who that's right, the mother of George I. Oh, and you have all his correspondence, do you, in the Windsor archive? Do you, excuse me for asking, but do you have any of his mother's archives there, the letters? Like the ones she exchanged with Leibniz? Yes, and her daughter, Sophia Charlotte, who went off to Berlin and married the King of Prussia and founded the Academy of Sciences in Berlin. She was also a friend of Leibniz, and you have some letters of Leibniz there. Gosh. Has anyone ever edited them, do you think? Yes, I'm working on a book of Sophias because my daughter's called Sophia. So if there's any correspondence from the Sophias, I'd love to, if I, that's right. If you send me some secretaries, I'll make time to come over and look at the archives. Because you see, I'm 100% with Leibniz. His vision was pan-European peace through combining the work of intellectuals and scientists across the continent. Yes. I know, and your family, you see, these Hanoverians really were at the heart of that. Those Sophias were trying to get that thing launched. I know, it's a precious lineage. It goes back to Elizabeth, the daughter of King James, who's my intellectual, he founded the UK. Yes, James. I know. And he was a patron of Shakespeare. I mean, God, these people knew what they were doing. They tried to get peace in Europe. But of course there was the mob always coming breathing down their necks. Yeah, Shakespeare always put the mob in his plays. Yeah. But I know, and then I know poor old Richard had to... Yeah, he I know, I did that scene for the National Youth Theatre audition. No, I didn't get it, but that's all right, because I became a philosopher instead. Okay, look, so going back to metaphysics, right? I just want to come back to that point. Yeah, so, like me, you studied privately, yeah. So look, there's two forces in history, it seems to me. If you look at the metaphysics of history, which is what my thesis... I really would be honoured if you would read it. Any questions you've got, just write to me about it, Because don't forget, metaphysics goes on after death even, so... Yeah, I mean, it's an eternal subject, right? Because it's to do with the nature of the soul and the survival after death. Yes, I mean, the Gospels, they're wonderful, but they're not everything that... Yeah, they're not the last word. There are other Gospels, yeah. So anyway, look... Yeah, and within that Christian tradition, yes. So look, there are two forces, I would say. There's the centrifugal force, which is a thrusting outward force. Right, yeah. So when a space rocket takes off from the Earth, it's a centrifugal force going out into the atmosphere, and it has to break through, and then it goes away. Yeah. And then there's another thing, a centripetal force, which comes inward, which moves towards the centre. Yeah, it's attracted towards the centre. And yeah, it was actually Newton that coined that. Yeah, Newton, one of my other intellectual heroes. Yes, he also wanted peace, of course. He wanted science and enlightenment. Yeah, great thinker. I love Newton. Well, he said that gravity is ultimately a centripetal force, but also combined with a centrifugal force. And so how gravity works is a complex balancing system of these two forces. Yeah. I mean, these people studying gravity, they need to go back and read their Newton again, because it's more a centripetal force than a centrifugal force. But you see, what I want, the point, yeah, I know, I mean, he was a great mathematician too. If you, yes, I mean, I'm working on a book called the Principia Religio Mathematica, which is the principles of religious mathematics. Yes, it will be a sequel to Principia Mathematica, which Isaac wrote the first time round. Yeah. No, I mean, do you know any mathematicians, like good ones, seriously good ones? If you could loan me any mathematical scholars that you have in your circle, yeah, there's some good ones in France, but my French is pretty good, but it's not very good on technical stuff. Yeah, please send me a very good English-speaking mathematician, because I need someone to co-write this book, Principia Religio Mathematica. I can tell him what numbers to compute, and I can give him the parameters of what needs to be calculated, but I don't have the time and patience to do all that, maths myself. But I know the structure of the book, I know what it's about, and yes, nobody's thought of it. Like, it's a whole branch of religious studies that would be totally new, religious mathematics. Things like, how many gods are there? Yeah. Yes. Yeah, how many lifetimes do we have to do before we get enlightenment? In all the traditions, yeah. I once asked some Jain nuns that. I said, how many people are being enlightened right now at this moment on this planet? That's a number, yeah, call it X. How many people are being enlightened right now in the entire universe? Yeah, she said infinite. Yeah, now that's when you come up with the tricky Jains, because they reckon there's about 5 types of infinite. Yeah, I forgot to ask her which type she meant, actually. Oh, God. You see, that's why I need a mathematician. But also, yeah, how many... Yeah, so... Yeah, it's basically all the how many questions involved in religious studies. No, it's not taught in religious studies classes because they haven't invented the discipline yet. I know it's a bit frustrating because I've been teaching religious studies in schools, and then I've been working at like the higher stratosphere of religious research. Yeah. Okay, so going back to the metaphysics. This is my concern. You say, I'm only a philosopher, right? I'm not a politician at all. I'm only ringing you about philosophy and metaphysics. But Brexit is very much a centrifugal kind of force. I think there are 2 forces in politics. I'm applying now my metaphysics to political thought. So Brexit is very centrifugal. It's breaking things up. It's thrusting away. It's going for freedom. It's going for whatever. That's right. So it's going to literally break up the UK in that centrifugal way. Yeah, I mean, Scotland's going to go off on her own trajectory, and yeah, quite right too. And Northern Ireland will go off on her trajectory, very probably rejoin the Republic. Yeah, and I think within about 10 years, yeah, the Welsh too. Yeah, I mean, and the English are just going to be wandering around, bless them, not knowing what they're doing, thinking, how come nobody likes us? We thought we were going to rule the world. Yeah. No, so it's a centrifugal process. Whereas Bremain, what I call Bremain, is a centripetal force. This is what brings people together and unites. The whole European Union project was a centripetal force, uniting what used to be split up and chaotic and violent into a unity. Yeah. Anything that brings unity is a centripetal force, metaphysically speaking. And so is love. That's the point I'm trying to make here, that, yeah. Yes, the whole UK is a centripetal concept, that we stay together. I mean, I have the Union Jack here in this room, and I look at the flag, and it's all these saints' crosses put together. It's a centripetal statement. We belong together out of love, yeah. Yeah, but you can't... I know, you know that, I know that, but what can we say? I mean, are we going to get all the Union Jacks changed when Scotland leaves? Yeah, they'll have to. I know, it's a nightmare. Yeah. And the intelligence services, they'll break up. Nobody will know who's spying on whom anymore. I know they don't really anymore anyway, but I know. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and as to whether you'd be queen of you know, what remains of the scattered, broken up Britain's nations, I mean, you might retire and go into a nunnery, yes. I think that's probably a good idea. I think that's what the Anglo-Saxon queens used to do. They used to go to Wilton. Yeah, I recommend Wilton, and you should restart it. Or Amesbury would be good. That's where Guinevere went. I love Guinevere. She went there after, you know, the tragedy of Arthur and all that. Yeah, it's a true story. I think, you know, I'll come back to that point. The Prime Minister. Oh dear, Your Majesty. Yes, I know. Coping with Johnson is a whole... That must... It must be difficult for you. But anyway, look, don't worry. I spoke to him last week. We had a long chat, and I'm hoping he's thinking about my conversation with him. I made some points. I've asked him to rethink this whole Brexit strategy. Yeah, you can explain to him when you have your weekly meetings that it's just totally destructive, and unnecessarily so. I mean, gosh, you know, I used to work in hospitals, and if I, doing my ward rounds, came along on a patient chopping themselves up into bits on the bed with a saw, I'd say to them, stop it, you're deranged, you know. I mean, and we kind of try and restrain them. I mean, that's what we've got with Brexit. It's a chopping up operation. I know, it's mad. So please, yeah, have a word with Boris. I mean, he's actually, you know, he's got some quite bright genes in him. He's got these fantastic Europhiles, Sir James Fraser, the great legal thinker, and yeah, Elias Lowe, who did all those wonderful pioneering works on Christian scholarship, yeah, of the before the 8th century, all the Latin codexes. I know, that's why I love. I've been to Monte Cassino Library like his ancestor Elias Lowe did. He did his thesis on the kind of alphabets they used in those days. Yeah, I've sat in the library at Monte Cassino and just mentally tears go down your face because you realise this hill was the site of one of the worst battles in human history, and it led to the barbarism and the destruction of the monastery. Yeah, and the library only survived because a good German officer managed to escape it to the Vatican. I want to make a movie about that, you know, the good German, the man of culture, saving the library of Monte Cassino, not to mention all the artefacts from the museums and so on, getting it to the Vatican, just before the British and American dropped the plane bombing catastrophe that destroyed the whole thing. I know, it does make you think, doesn't it? Yeah. History's not just all one way. We're taught that, you know, it's good and bad, and yeah, no, there's good and bad on all sides. But that's what makes history so interesting, you see, to learn to see it from the other side. Yeah, a lot of those Brexit types, they just need a good holiday in France, and they would soon see it from the other perspective. Yeah, Johnson. So look, good luck with him, but you just have to appeal to his innate good intelligence that is there. I mean, some people, yeah, they don't quite get where it's coming from, and it does seem to me, I think you would agree, wouldn't you, that he's betrayed his heritage? Yeah. Well, I think it's still not too late to get him to live up to it. You know, that Eton education, you know, that must mean something, and the Oxford. I mean, surely they teach people at Eton and Oxford to be moral, don't they? Yeah. Yeah, and to understand the difference between right and wrong, and that's right, and truth and lies. I mean, to me, those are the gold standards of things. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, anyway, look, good luck. You have to meet him. But anyway, I did speak to him last week, and if you can say that you and I caught up this week, then I think it will be interesting. So look, where does it leave us? I know, I'm sorry, I've taken so much of your time. I am coming to the end now. It's been such an honour to have this opportunity. Look, the way I see it, and I hope I've given you food for thought here, but the way I see it is that what you should say to Boris next time you meet, like next week, whenever that is, first thing is you've got to make him release that Russian intelligence file. Yeah, no ifs and buts, no prevarication. Yeah, of course you have the constitutional right. You have the duty. You have to advise him. That's what it says in the law. So you can advise him to release that Russian intelligence file, right? Yes, of course, it's a bit scary actually, because what would appear, and yeah, you're watching the Trump impeachment too, are you? Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? It turns out, have you seen that new book by Craig Unger? Yeah, yeah. It's incredible. It seems like the Russian mafia have bought Trump years ago. It is a bit scary because, you know, the Russians, yeah, they've done their oligarchical thing where they went a bit bonkers after they got rid of communism. They thought that was a green light for the kind of fascist mafioso oligarchs to take over. Yeah, they became fabulously wealthy, and then they've basically corrupted the presidency, which is unbelievable. But, you know, this impeachment process, they're fighting back. Yeah, Craig Unger, he wrote House of Bush, House of Sword, House of Saud. He worked out that 9/11 was a bit of a dodgy thing because it looked like Bush had covered up stuff. He's a genius. And now he's done the same with, it's called House of Trump, House of Putin. He's worked out that the Russians really have bought Trump. Yeah, I think he's only got a matter of weeks. I think Congress are going to impeach him. And I think even when it comes to the trial in the Senate, yeah, the evidence will be overwhelming that even the Republican hardliners in the Senate will vote for his impeachment, yeah. No, I mean, it's going to be on television, right? Yeah, they won't be able to prevent the televising of actual witness statements. Yeah, they're fighting a rear guard. It's like, of course, you know, like Hitler in the bunker, Trump will, yeah. No, but that's the point. You see, all these people, these really like seriously weird people that put Trump into power, like, you know, Farage and you know, all his acolyte in America, they're all in league with the Russians. Not the nice Russians. Look, I've got millions of really nice Russian friends. I know Russian philosophers, okay? I mean, I've been to Moscow, I've spoken there. No, those are the good Russians. The ones I'm talking about are the evil ones who like have people killed for just being on the wrong side of whatever the breeze is that's blowing at the time. Yeah, and they throw acid in your face. I mean, they're seriously nasty Russians. And they fake stuff. And yeah. But the point is, Your Majesty, you do realise that it looks like they've also subverted the Conservative Party. Yeah. And Boris is just their stool pigeon. Yeah, they've got rid of all the decent Conservatives, the true One Nation Tories. Yes, and this man, Dominic Cummings, he seems to be working for them. I mean, I don't know if he's on their payroll, but he's working intellectually for them, you see. Once you're trained in the dark arts by the Russian mafia, you never leave them. When I was trained in the white arts by the Russian philosophers, yes, we are a match for them. I just want to assure you, you know. Yeah, truth will win. I mean, we are coming up to Christmas in the Orthodox world, January the 6th. Yes, a happy Christmas to you too, ma'am. Both the Western one and the Orthodox one. No, but I'm talking from the Orthodox position of going straight to truth. That's why I have to speak to you in this true manner. So look, please, Your Majesty. I know, and you I know. Yeah, and the Tsar's death and everything, it was terrible. I've just been with someone in India who came from Ekaterinburg, and she's now got studying Jain philosophy because, yeah, if only the Bolsheviks had studied Jainism, we wouldn't be in this mess, would we? They would all been doing non-violence. Yeah. Oh dear. Anyway, not too late. Ahimsa, right? So look, so that's the first thing, release the intelligence report. And secondly, in view of what's coming out now about the dodginess of that 2016 referendum, get Boris to postpone Brexit for at least a year, possibly 2 or 3, and set up a Royal Commission of Inquiry into the 2016 referendum, because there was cheating going on. Yeah. These people should be behind bars, Dominic Cummings, yeah. They should all be, like, arrested, actually. Yeah, but at least call it a Royal Commission of Inquiry into the 2016 referendum. You insist to Boris that he set this thing up, and if not, then you just set it up anyway. I mean, you are the monarch, you can set up Royal Commissions, right? To have a word with the head of the Supreme Court, I think you'll find it's within your constitutional right. Yeah, and talk to the professor at King's College, who's the expert on constitutional law. He that's where I was baptised. Yeah, King's, on the Strand there. Yes, I know it well. Yeah. No, my daughter's gone to Cambridge actually. It's all right, Cambridge. I mean, it's quite a good place. She's doing a PhD there. Yeah. Actually, she's in Burma at the moment, but I'm sure I will indeed pass that message on, Your Majesty. That's very kind of you to say that. No, she is a clever girl, and yeah, yes. And you must be very proud of your children too. Charles is an extraordinary man. I have deep respect for him. I did meet him once in the marches when I lived in Wales. Yeah, a great man. I think he'll be a brilliant king when he finally succeeds. And I just hope he still has a kingdom to inherit, because at the current state it's going to be somewhat smaller than previously. Yeah, and also Anne as well. Of course, she's been Vice Chancellor of the University of London for many years. And so yes, she actually gave me my first degree, I remember. Yeah, so I don't know, Anne is a clever woman too. I mean, this is what appalls me about Brexit. It's such a dumbing down of our real culture. People of the stature of your children and mine in their own little way, yeah, they're bigger than this, you know, and they're more loving. The whole point about what I've always taught in philosophy and RE in schools is that we have to learn to love as well as to know. Yes, the human being is not just a knowledge machine. You can have robots that do that. It's a loving machine. Correct. And as a parent, our first duty is to tell our children how to teach our children to love honourably, kindly and wisely. Yeah. Right. So anyway, look, that's my advice. Set up a Royal Commission of Inquiry into the 2016 referendum. You know, it will find the whole thing was dodgy, and then it can have an advisement to hold a second referendum. It's the only way out of this mess, and that's purely a legal thing. I don't care who's in charge in the Commons. I mean, Tories can be quite good if they're, you know, educated sufficiently, and aren't all just like baying like populist xenophobes. I know, and I think we in Britain have a duty, because in the Commonwealth context, yeah, I mean, that's the problem what's going on in India, these xenophobes and racists. So we can't in Britain let the show down and retreat back into that xenophobic kind of we're the best nation in the world type attitude. And then the whole world will watch us laughing as we break up. I know, it's a nightmare. It's like a Hitchcock movie in slow motion. Yeah. So, anyway, that's my advice. That's the way out. A Royal Commission of Inquiry into the 2016 referendum. Do it. You can. Yeah. You see, if I don't want to sound doom and gloom here, but there is a slight caveat. You see, if you let Brexit go ahead as it's planned by this Boris, you know, on a roll, not nonsense, then I don't think the karma's very good, because you'll be responsible ultimately as monarch for the breakup of your realm and my realm in our lifetimes. And yeah, the karma of that's not very good, you see, let alone the suffering for all the people involved. No, the Scots won't mind. They've already worked out they're going for independence. Yeah, I actually think that independence thing will be going ahead anyway. I just think Brexit is going to make it all much, much more complicated. You could stop it by that Royal Commission idea. Yeah, and I think, yeah, let the Scots have a second referendum and we'll see which way they vote. I think they're going to vote for independence this time. I would if I were in Scotland. I mean, and yeah, I mean, you probably would, wouldn't you? I mean, you go to Balmoral a lot. Would you get a vote? I forgot you don't vote. Yeah. Yeah, but if you were voting, you'd vote for independence too. I think Victoria would as well. Good. Okay, so look, just to sum up, sorry to take so long. We've talked about the Brexit, we've talked about the Council of Monarchs. I'm glad you like that idea, Your Majesty. I will resend the documentation, and I apologise. I think it got blocked by an underling. Yeah, I think I've got the name on the letter he sent, and I think later he was sacked. I can't remember the guy's name. I'm glad you like the Commonwealth Common Values Council, and please, yeah, send me 3 secretaries, and we'll get that really moving. The World Intellectual Forum, just to report back, that's going very well. Yes. I know, it's not a flavour that everybody appeals to, but I think, you know, an intellectual is someone that loves ideas, loves the work of the mind, respects knowledge, respects education, and is prepared to stand up and be counted, to tell the truth, to live the truth, and love the truth. Yeah. Anyway, the good news is we set up a youth wing at this last meeting, and people came from different parts of the Commonwealth. Someone came from Mauritius, which is this beautiful little island in the Indian Ocean. Yeah. Yeah, amazing woman. She's Miss Mauritius, I think. She came and she wants to help set up a youth wing. So next time you're in Mauritius, if you go on a state visit, you know, pop in and we'll fix up a meeting. Yeah, I love that part of the world. So anyway, there is hope. You see, India's burning and so on, but we were there planting a flag for ahimsa and peace and creating a youth wing for the World Intellectual Forum, and people came from all over the world. There were Americans and people from Israel and New York and Russia and Crimea. Yeah, that was fun. The Ukrainian and the Russian woman got on like a house on fire, proving that discourse about ahimsa is more powerful than, yeah, that centrifugal force that breaks everything up. Yeah, it was a love experience. Yeah. And also, just to say, I mean, yes, the reason I got into all this was my multi-faith and multicultural mediation service that I set up. Yeah, when I was doing the thesis back at the University of London. Yeah, that's kind of how I got involved with all this Commonwealth peace work. Well, it's an honour to do my best. I mean, I wish there were more of me. I wish I had more secretaries. I could do more, you know. I feel personally guilty about things like Brexit, because it's happened on my watch. I know, I wish there were more of me teaching. I mean, yeah, please, yeah, that's something you could do, is have a word with the education minister, if they've got a brain. What we should do is make religious studies, philosophy education, give it as much status in schools throughout the UK as maths education and science does. And also this idea that, you know, maths and science are real knowledge, RE is just a DOS lesson, as we call it. No, it's not true at all. That's right. That's why I did the periodic table of the world's religious and philosophical traditions. It actually requires far more intelligence to work out how to harmonise and calibrate relations between the faiths of the world than it does to work out some calculus question, or, you know, how the planets move around the sun, etc. Yeah. No, there's 162 boxes on the periodic table, and they're all the huge panoply of